In a career that spans 35 years with multiple hits and enough awards to cover at least 3 fireplace mantles, Stephen Curtis Chapman has written and performed songs that have helped not only shape Christian music, but have helped shape Christians as he shares the pain and doubts we all face and the hopefulness too. And he's back with a new project. You're hearing songs like Still and Don't Lose Heart on Life Right Now. Stephen Curtis Chapman, welcome.
Thank you. Great to be with you all. It's been way too long since I've made a flyby or a fly into visit to Canada. So it's great to be with you guys.
Well, after so many, I've listed some of the success. I just skipped over it, right? But after that, making a new album should be routine. But you had some different thoughts. I was reading approaching this new album. What were your thoughts going into it?
Yeah, I mean, it would be very natural to think, that would be a no big deal, really, or routine kind of thing. But quite the opposite ended up being the case for me. And I think that, well, this is 35 years. This year marks 35 years from the release of my first record, Firsthand, which came out in 1987, which is hard to even believe. I was, only like 10 years old at the time, so I barely remember it. But it's just, so a lot of music and a lot of, gosh, more than I ever could have imagined in terms of just the opportunity, the success, the blessing of getting to share my music with so many people all over the world, Canada and everywhere else. And just, but with that comes, at least for me, and for a lot of us insecure artists, I think, there's that part of all of us, I think most of the artists that I know that, wonders, well, do people need to hear anything more? Are they interested in hearing any new things? And a lot of that gets fueled by just the fact that when you do write a new song after a 35-year career and after 23 or 4 records now, and which represents hundreds of songs that I've been very fortunate to share and sing for people, they will, if I've talked to someone about a new song or play a new song for people now, and this has probably been the case for the last 10 years in some way, many times people will say, hey, that was great, man. You know what, though? There's never going to be another fill in the blank, Dive, Great Adventure, I Will Be Here, Cinderella, Speechless, or another album, man, More to This Life, that album, Signs of Life, that album was like the Stephen Curtis Chapman album. When I want to listen to Stephen Curtis Chapman, that's the record I go to. And all of those things are such encouraging, complimentary things, but there is that part of you, if it in the artist and the writer, who wants to communicate and connect with others. And I write these songs not just for my own good and sake and encouragement, but I really do write them with the hope that, okay, what's the person on the other side of the radio going to feel, and are they going to connect with this? Is it going to encourage them and mean something to them? And when I get that response, man, that song just helped me so much, and it's been such an encouragement to me. That's kind of the wind in the sails. That's the fuel in the tank. And so when you have this sense that people in a way collectively are kind of going, man, you really don't need to write, the new music, because we just really want to hear you sing this long list of songs that you're probably never even going to get to in concert. You're going to sing, 15 or 20 of them, but there's still
you could have a 3-day concert.
Yeah. And so it's a blessing, but it's kind of a two-edged sword, if you get what I'm saying. And so with all of that, it's like, well, do I I think at a point when I started to have these new thoughts and ideas, particularly after the last, 3 or 4 years in our world, of all that's transformed, all that's changed, all of the loss, all of the heartache, all of the chaos and the craziness and the division and just everything, I really found myself, as I always do, kind of processing that with songs. And that's how I just sort of process, the world around me, faith, what's going on in my heart, the struggles, the wrestlings, the restings, all of that. And so I started writing songs, and I just had to silence all those voices. And it was a lot of effort and energy, it felt like, to just get the voices kind of, quieted enough to go, I'm going to try not to worry as much about, do people want to or need to hear any more new songs from, Stephen Curtis Chapman? But do I need to write these songs? And God, are these songs you are giving me to write and sing, even if it is just for me or for the handful or whatever, however big the handful of people is that will hear these eventually. I need to write these songs. I need to say these things. And then once I got in that groove and started to, give myself the permission, but it again, it was just crazy how much you have to kind of silence all those voices and just say, okay, I just want to write things that I know are coming from here. And because there's so much great music. I mean, streaming and the way the world engages with music even anymore, you think, do people even listen to albums? Should I even,
Mm.
they just release songs, you release 3 or 4 songs, and then maybe in a while you release 2 or 3 more and a song here and a song there. And I've been doing that for a while, but there's something about an album and the opportunity to say a whole, it's like a book, you don't just, you can read chapter 14 and it may be really good and really, draw you in, but what about the backstory? What about the rest of the
Right.
story? And I feel like that's part of what an album gives me the opportunity to do. And I love listening to those kinds of collections of music. And that's what I've done for many, many years. So anyway, that was all kind of going on in the process of me creating this album Still, which is really, I'll go ahead and just jump ahead and say that's really the reason why the album is called Still, because I feel like in the
Right.
midst of all of this, I still, first of all, am amazed, blown away by the grace and the love of God, the hope that gives us in this world that we live with so much loss and pain and heartache. And my family and I, obviously, on our now 14-year journey after losing our daughter Maria, and continuing to see, how the journey walks itself out, and the grief that we still have to carry, and the trauma and the pain, and yet the hope and the joy and grandchildren and new stories. It's like all of that mixed together. I still want to sing about that. I still want to tell those stories. And I'm still passionate. And God is still good and still faithful. And just even to be able to say that, I think is important, especially when you walk through a lot of dark places. So